Yo, what's going on, guys? What's up? Welcome back. It is Wednesday and another unboxing. We have two more Neca Dungeons and Dragons characters to unbox. And then that set is complete. Then we can move on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we have 2 days till Christmas. It's been a crazy year. It's been, thankfully, a year that went by pretty fast. It is an even crazier end of the year. It's one of those where you start trying to pull all your hair out of your head. But like I said, it's 2 days before Christmas. Things are bound to get crazy. I think I'm kind of happy with the way things are going. We have a couple weeks left before the end of the Kickstarter for the Mighty Orbots. I still don't know about it. I mean, I feel safe with the idea that Ramen Toys is doing the toys. So looking at the prototypes, I'm not a huge fan of it because it's literally not something you'd expect to see in today's toy making. But I think it's a good ode to the 1980s style of toys. So, from what I've seen from the prototype, it's just like a block figure where you can move the arms and the head. They don't technically look like the figures from the cartoon. The two arms, Bo and Boo, were the female versions of the robots, and they were thin-waisted. And then when they transformed into the giant robot, they became more blocked form. Crunch was one of the legs. He was very rounded until he formed the legs. Then he became squared. The Thor? No, Tor was the middle part. Tor looks alright. He just looks very small. But the robot itself looks very similar to what the cartoon looks like. It's going to be mostly die cast, I think, with some plastic. Of course, this will be the only way to get the figure. It's going to stand at 12 inches, or about 12 inches, which is about the size of the Soul of Chogogen characters, which isn't too bad. So as a fan of the cartoon, parts of me wants it. As a collector, part of me wants it. We'll see. Of course, it will take more than a year before we get it, so sometime in 2027. Like I said, we'll see. Lots of things coming out, lots of things I'm literally picking up, trying to finish my collection. So we're definitely going to still be doing toy hunts, because even though a lot of it is trying to hunt for certain things, it's also trying to put over the stores that we visit. It's also, you never know what you'll find. So you can't really not do it, even if we don't find anything. However, there is stuff still I need to get, and there are stuff that's still coming out. So, like I said, you never know. We've seen a lot of the Hasbro Star Wars sets, the new Star Wars that's supposed to be coming out. Thankfully, nothing so far that catches my eye. We've seen the new Marvel figures coming out, and I am honestly glad they're bringing out characters that are not well known. However, I don't see myself getting any or most of the figures. I did decide to get the Joker for DC for my villains shelf, I didn't want to get a Joker, but it made the most sense. Like I said, the reason I picked up Marvel Legends Doctor Doom was because Doom appeared in several of the older cartoons. From Marvel. I mean, he was in Spider-Man, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, the Avengers series, the Fantastic Four cartoon series. If there was a Marvel cartoon series, Doctor Doom probably appeared at least once in it. I think even the X-Men, in the newer X-Men, the continuation of the old X-Men, there's a cameo appearance of Doom. So he literally appeared in everything, which would make sense if you're getting a villain from Marvel to represent the nostalgia and the old cartoon villains. You get the one villain that has appeared in almost all of the Marvel series. If you look at DC, there was the old cartoons of Batman. There was the animated series of Batman, the animated series of Superman, Justice League Unlimited. Besides the movies, just almost every DC cartoon series, even the Super Friends. I think the only series that didn't have two characters that stand out that's been in literally every DC series is the Aquaman cartoon. But if you look at the entire slate of DC series, there's only two characters that has appeared literally in almost every series. Batman. Now you look at Batman Beyond, the only series that left out one character, and that character is Lex Luthor. But the Joker is mentioned in the entire series. The Joker gang, Harley's Nemesis, and then of course The Return of Joker, the movie. It kind of only makes sense that the one DC villain to get to represent DC nostalgically would be Joker. Unfortunately, personally, I'd rather get Darkseid. I think Darkseid is the main villain I would see as the DC villain to counteract Doctor Doom. I'd rather get Black Adam, but neither of which has been in every single series, so it kind of does come down to the Joker. So I have a couple slots left. So technically 6 slots, but the 6 slots, one is going to be Doom, one is going to be Joker, one is Dr. Scarab from Bionic 6. That leaves 3. I have decided, since I have M. Bison, and they did create a Mortal Kombat cartoon, I'm picking up Shao Kahn. Brings it down to 2. If we're talking about old cartoons and villains, there are a number of old cartoons and old villains. But the one villain that I know I should get is Psykill from the GoBots. Unfortunately, the old GoBot toy was pretty small, and I looked at most of the newer toys for Psykill, and I'm saddened to say a lot of them really suck. I do know that they made a Machine Robo version of Psykill, which will cost a pretty good amount of money. But that's definitely something to look into. So we're down to 1 villain. And there are actually quite a few villains I would love to pick up. Again, a lot of them will cost a pretty amount of money. I've been thinking of picking up Ming the Merciless, because the variation I've seen looks really cool. SWAT Cat, Dark Cat. Rambo. The cartoons had a great villain. Had several great villains. It's pretty hard once you get down to the last figure. But once everything's done, you guys will see the characters as they come. So I'm pretty excited for that. Until then, we definitely have a lot of unboxing to do. Grimsword. He looks insane. There is some weight to the figure. So definitely Neca does some great stuff. It's just that they lose the IPs. Warduke. I remember I had the original toy for this character because he looks insane. And I'm seriously happy I get to have this character. Like I said, Neca does some great stuff. However, they lose the IP. There is one more character. Well, technically there is 4 or 5 more characters for the evil side that they could have brought out, and same for the good side. Technically, the original toys had 4 bad guys, 4 good guys. Neca has only made 3 bad guys and 3 good guys. So there is the Dark Sorcerer that Neca will probably never make because they lost the IP. But it's like the gargoyles. Neca made them. And when they were almost done with it, they lost the IP. Which sucks because Neca is the only one that actually created the actual Gargoyles toys. I think Mattel or Kenner had the IP when Gargoyles actually first appeared and was huge. But the characters were very kiddish. They were made for kids to play with. And I get it. Neca is making these figures for us adults. And they look insane. I like the background. So the shield is in the back. You can feel the rubberiness of it, but it's very, very heavy. And everything feels really solid. They do feel better than Mattel's Masterverse characters. Although, I mean, come on, it's He-Man. So you can't really not like the Masterverse characters. Easy to get out. A Cobra Mace. Several new hands. Insane sword. So of course you tilt these things up. There is some knee joints, wrists, thigh. Yeah, there's a thigh and waist, elbows, hands, wrists, shoulders. Hits pretty good. There's a place, I think, for the sword. So I don't know if mine's is broken, or if that's just the tail. Most everything is rubber. Definitely very heavy set. So the biggest problem is getting him to actually stand up. I don't know if it's the ankles. Yeah, that is pretty insane. So quality-wise, I love it. But it doesn't stand. And the wrist is so loose that any movement that comes down. So we have this version. I love that. sometimes I wonder if they do it on purpose. This sword looks amazing. You have this knife, short sword, flames, and a couple extra hands. So the sword, guessing, is supposed to fit most of this. But it feels like the sword is getting caught. Which kind of sucks because I kind of wanted it's not perfect, but I think that's all we'll get. We have a nice little sheath on the side for his one dagger. Which doesn't feel like it fits. Okay, seriously, Neca. Literally, it looks like the same hands. Yeah, he has the sword in the left hand. I just wish these things would fit. At least that one fits. And there. And that one fits in there. At least he sounds a whole lot better than the other one. He is a bit top heavy, so he really doesn't stand too well, which kind of sucks. But definitely like the mace. Love the snake shield. Does come with a crap load of hands and a sword, but he doesn't have any place to put the sword. Stay. Warduke, however, looks insane. definitely looks better than the toy I remember. And once you get the swords in, you're left with 3 hands, which isn't bad. All in all, not too bad. Definitely more a fan of Warduke. I did not realize how tall he was compared to Warduke. But as far as knights go, I like how this is shaping up. Now, of course, we still have room for the 6 Darkling Lords. There's still a spot here and 2 spots here to fill. Spawn looks right at home next to Warduke. Grimsword, Zarak. I do wish we had the Dark Sorcerers. Put them back there. Like I said, I have a little problem with the way he's standing. I may try and get a Conan the Barbarian figure. There is the Conan villain from the cartoon, Amon-Rath, that I'm thinking of getting. So that could leave possibly 1 space open. I think Conan would fit pretty nicely in here with the Darkling Lords. I can't think of any more cartoon knights, comic book knights, besides the Black Knight from Marvel, Shining Knight from DC, I don't know if either was made. That might be something to look into. Until then, that looks pretty damn epic. What do you guys think? Anyway, guys, that's the unboxing. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Take care. Little gassy. Merry Christmas. Aloha.